morning. Welcome to the ACAIN workshop of the month of October. Hope you're all well, enjoying your break, public holiday. If you are in Nigeria, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Ina. I'm one of the Go Vision, Association of Children's Authors and Illustrators of Nigeria. I'm just going to introduce our speaker, not to waste any more time. Our speaker today is Folasade Adepoju, and she is the Chief Librarian at the National Library of Nigeria, the headquarters at Abuja. Yes, and there she is on the screen. We're very excited to hear what she has to say. She has a Bachelor of Library Science and Sociology from Bayero University in Kano in Nigeria. She also has a Master's in Information Management from Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. She is a Chief Librarian at the National Library of Nigeria, like I said. She's an astute librarian, a dedicated advocate of literacy, education, girl-child rights, and environment and climate change. And these are all, issues that I think we should all get behind. She's a union leader of repute and chairperson of the Nigerian Library Association, the FCT branch. She received the Nigerian Library Association's prestigious award of the Best Library Advocate in 2018. And she is also a recipient of the Climate Change Action Activism Award 2019 from the African Library and Information Association and Institutions, AFLIA. Okay, so I've introduced her now. I would like to invite Folasade to please take the talk. I'm very excited to hear about legal deposits and the copyright of intellectual property, which every author or every aspiring author should know about. So please, let's welcome her with a clap. You can use your clap icons or emojis. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here with us today. So take it away.
Thank you very much, Erin, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone online. And I appreciate the opportunity of having me to talk on legal deposits and copyright of intellectual property. So this morning I'll be talking on legal deposits, because this is an area where most authors in Nigeria are nonchalant about. But before I talk about legal deposits, I would like to talk about the National Library, because we cannot separate the National Library from legal deposits. So next slide. So this is my content. Legal deposits, its importance, copyright and the copyright page, importance of copyright, outside topic, copyright page, intellectual property rights. Next slide, please. Okay, as we all know, the National Library is the giant memory of the nation. It collects all intellectual output of the nation and preserve for research purposes and for future generation yet unborn. And the act that established the National Library of Nigeria made it mandatory. It's an obligation that for every book published in Nigeria by a Nigerian or a book published by a foreigner about Nigeria, within 1 month of that production, for a self-publisher or a publisher, 3 copies of such book should be deposited in the National Library for easy access for Nigerians, for research, for leisure, and to further preserve it, so that in the next 50, 30, 40, 100 years, when anybody walk into the library and they talk about a book written by Wole Soyinka, you don't need to go far. The copy will be presented to you. If you come to my library in Area 2, we have newspapers as old as 1900 in our collection, because it has been preserved for generations, for this generation. So legal deposits is an obligation. It is expected that when you publish your work, you deposit 3 copies for individual authors in the National Library. If you're a publisher for state government, you deposit 10 copies. And if you're a publisher for federal government, you deposit 25 copies. And why I encourage depositing by authors, the reason are so many. Like the National Library is one of the organizations given the mandates to carry out readership promotion campaign in every nook and crannies of Nigeria, in the 771 local governments. It is expected that for every child in those communities, they should have access to books to help in their literacy foundation. And when you write as a children author and you don't deposit such book in the National Library, how do we get to buy your books? The National Library, we buy books from authors who have deposited their books with us. Unfortunately, I don't know, most of the books we receive on legal deposits are books written by churches, by pastors. There are so much in our collections. And yes, I'm not taking the way of spirituality. I'm not taking away spirituality in our literacy work. But what about those work that will impact positively in the lives of our children? Where are we keeping the books? I'm a cataloger. I catalog books. I come across books every day. I work on them. Unfortunately, most of the books we come across, we rarely come across children's books because most authors don't deposit. They don't fulfill their part of the obligation. Next slide, please. Next slide. So I've talked about this. I've talked about this for private publisher, 1 copy, 3 copies, for state government, 10 copies, for federal government, 25 copies. So if you're writing book, because I've written a book that I'm talking with I've written a book on climate change for children. So I'm talking with the office of the SDG on how that book will get into the hands of Nigerian kids. So when I'm depositing such book at the National Library, I'm going to deposit 25 copies of such book because I'm going to publish it under the name of SDG office. Please, next slide. So what is to be deposited? As we all know, all literary works published in Nigeria includes collective works such as encyclopedias, dictionaries, magazines, newspapers, yellow pages, all forms in which documentary or oral records are published. This means legal deposits is also for non-book. So we have a section that collects films, home videos. If you're coming to watch home videos of 1990, we have them in our collection because people came and deposited their work. Cassettes, electronic. We used to have microfiche in the past, but because of advancement in technology, they are kept in the archives. All literary works such as books, pamphlets, sheets of music, maps, charts, plans, tablets, and compilation, tables and compilation, dramatic works are all to be deposited in their best forms. Why we insist on in their best form? Because we've seen publishers coming to the library with defaced book. Yes, because you are giving 3 copies to us does not mean you should bring it in a bad state. I saw someone doing a book launch, and I went to the page of their Facebook page, and I asked them, why are they not bringing their work to the National Library? He told me that he published the book abroad. For that note, it's not going to give National Library of Nigeria. I said, okay, you're not doing me any favor if you don't deposit your work in the National Library. We have a database. We have our online public access platform where if you deposit your work, it will be there. If I type your name, Lola Shoneyi, the Baba Segi's wife, it will bring all the information of that book for you to see the bibliographic, the metadata of that book. But when you don't bring such book, yes, you've written, yes, we are selling your books, but how many people can you reach? But if you have your online public access, or if you have your books on OPAC, It's everybody will see it all over the world. It will give visibility to you. That's why we emphasize on legal deposits. So from what I've written now, you should know that for every book no matter the subject area where you have written, drop the book in the National Library. If your book is if a music is accompanying your book, please drop the music and the book. It will be collected and it will be preserved for your children yet unborn. Next slide, please. Okay, why the benefits of legal deposits? Like I've said before, preservation of intellectual output for the future generation. When you write, people write. I was talking to somebody, I was listening to a music yesterday. The person died in 1990. The guy that was with me in the car was asking, so this man, you are still listening to this music? I say yes, because his music was preserved and he's getting the royalty from his work. So when you write, you are writing, you may think you are writing for children, you're writing for fun, but you are engraving your name in the sand of time, because I may not know you one-on-one, but when I hear your name, oh, that person wrote that book. Oh, that person wrote that book about children and malaria. Oh, that person, I know that author. I may not know you physically, I may never have met you, but your work will bring you out. So when you write intellectual output, you are writing for the future generation. And when you write, it is like making a reference, because it's a reference material. When I need to, when you write on climate action, for example, and you come and you see the things happening in Nigeria, anybody can just walk into the library, please, I need books on climate action for children. They will bring out your book and you have preserved that work. Why do we have this problem? What are the solutions to this problem? Somebody have written about that problem. It may not solve the immediate, maybe technology must have advanced, that thing may not solve the immediate problem at that time, but what you have written has led to some innovative ideas that will solve that problem. Legal deposit is the only instrument accepted by the law court in the case of litigation. Yes, people come into the library. People, but this particular instrument is more on newspaper publication. People have had issues in the past that they need to make reference to. They come to the National Library because they've deposited their work in the library. When the issue arises and there's a litigation, they come to us, the court subpoena National Library, and we take the original copy in the best form to the court to defend the case. So legal deposit is the only instrument accepted by the law courts in the case of any litigation. It's for bibliographic control of the nation's publication. Yes, I want to know you. Somebody is looking for a publisher. Somebody is looking for an author. An author is to be recognized. Where do we get his details? Yes, there's technology. Now everything is online. The authenticity of that thing can be found when everything is published in the National Bibliography of Nigeria. Nobody, when you just go online, type National Library and check the bibliography, National Bibliography, it will bring you out. It will bring your work out. It will bring your work, the year of publication out. And everybody will know that, okay, yes, this year, if you claim you wrote that book, somebody, did Choma write that book? Yes, Choma wrote that book. Can we check? Let's go to National Bibliography of Nigeria. Your record will be there, intact. Bibliographic control of the nation's publication. We want to know how many books are published under a particular year. When you deposit your book, we're able to capture, okay, this book, so number of book was published in the year 1990. So we will know the extent at which our writers are writing and how many books have been deposited in National Library. Next slide. Okay, we're all familiar with copyrights. We are all familiar with copyrights. We may not have included it in our books. We may not even have in-depth knowledge of what copyright is. But copyright can be described as a right that creators have over their literary or artistic work. And works covered by copyright include books, music, paintings, sculpture, computer programs, databases, maps, and technical drawing. An author, at his or her discretion, may allow others to reuse their work when necessary permission is granted. So copyright is the right given to you because you initiated the idea, you imagine the idea, you pen the idea down, so you have the right over that work. So, and the book and the copyright covers books, music, painting, everything that is in a document, that is in a format that is documenting something. That is what copyright covers. And you can only have access to my work if I give you permission to that work. Next slide. Okay, how long does copyright last for literary work? For Chinua Achebe's work, 70 years after the author's death. Chinua Achebe is dead, so we can only use his work without making reference to him after 70 years. The same thing with artworks. For music and film is a slight difference. For music, when the major creator of the work, including director, music composers, everybody in the line of producing that film or music until they are dead, until the last person standing dies before their work can be copied without making reference or taking permission from them. For computer generated work, the same rule applies. Next slide. What can I copy? So we as Nigerians, we just copy, we just go use people's work, adapt their work, sit down in our rooms, copy and paste without knowing the implication of what we are doing. Most people are guilty. Most students are guilty. Even sharing of pictures online, most of us are guilty. What can I copy? You can copy a work when you own the copyrights. So that's when you can modify it, you can republish it, you can re-edit it, you can update it when you have the copyright of that work. You can copy a work when I've given you permission to copy my work. You cannot copy my work if I've not given you permission to touch my work. Fair use. You can copy a work when you have the rights, as long as you're not going to use the work for commercial purposes. You're not going to use the work to make money or to cause disrepute to somebody. You can copy the work. And you can copy a work when the copyright has expired. Like I said earlier, 70 years. When the owner of the work is dead, after 70 years, you can now copy their work without making reference to them. Thank you. Next slide. Okay. Yes, we all know, sorry, excuse me. So we've all come across books. We're all students of secondary school, primary school, university, and we all know what a copyright page looks like. So this is a book I'm holding here. Copyrights, the title of most copyrights, the page where most copyrights are found are basically after the title page when you follow the due process of publishing. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, people just publish because they don't attend workshops that talk about these things. Immediately after the title page, you have the vessel page. That's the page that contains all the metadata information of a published work. And on this page, you have the copyright symbol and the copyright notice. So when you open the second page after the title page, you see something copyright C 2021 William Okoye, all right reserved. That is the copyright notice. So it's mostly found after the title page. Next slide. Why do we need to copyright our work? Why do we need to copyright our work? We need to copyright our work because we need to protect the value of an author. It's not easy to wake up in the morning, pick a pen, start imagining, okay, you are talking, want to talk about rape. Anybody can write about rape, but when you write, how acceptable is your writing to the general public? And if somebody has put in so much energy in writing and that person has not copyrighted his work, that person has just worked for jackals that are ready to hijack the work. So copyright is help to protect the value of an author or academic or research work by giving the author the ability to protect it from unlicensed usage. You don't want your work to be used carelessly, so you need to copyright your work. And again, another important importance of copyright is it prevents your work from being copied to the extent that you cannot sell or receive credit from it. For it, you have worked, you have labored, and you didn't copyright your work. Somebody somewhere can sit down, copy the same thing, just do little adjustments, and bam, the work becomes your own. I'm going to give an example of such. There's an online war going on between Kikimodi and Oge because they didn't, I don't know, they didn't reach an agreement. It's not, in this case, it's not a copyright, but somebody has infringed on somebody's rights and somebody's claiming damages for that. So when you write, when you carry out any work and you didn't properly protect that work, anybody can use it and take credit that should belong to you. When you copyright your work, it fosters intellectual creativity because you'll be able to make money. When you make money on that work, it will prompt you to want to write again. You get recognition and it puts money into your pocket. When you write, I know so many authors. I know so many authors today. I've never seen them. Elon Abila is a writer, although he's not writing on children, but they are writing. Their work is giving them money. It has given them recognition. In the 90s, they traveled out of the country based on scholarships because of their creative work. So how to set up a copyright page? I've simplified it. The first thing you come across when you open a copyright page is the name of the copyright and the copyright symbol. There's that C symbol. And most people put this symbol without going to the Copyright Commission to actually pay for this thing. Because you put copyright symbol 2018, Bill Elliott does not make it legal that you have the copyright authority over that your work. If you don't go to the Copyright Commission to pay for the fee that is required and list your work on their database, you are just wasting your time having copyright on your work. Then the copyright notice, that's number 2. Then number 3, the same thing. Number 4, that is a place of public book designed by who, the illustrator. Number 5, ISBN and ISSN. You all know where you get your ISBN and ISSN from. You get it from the National Library. National Library is the only organization that is giving the right, authentic information to authentic organization to get ISBN for works published in Nigeria. People sell, I've seen people selling ISBN online. Those are fake ISBN and they are not captured in the international center because these numbers are not generated in Nigeria. They're generated in France and London. So if anybody comes to you that I have copyright, I want to give you, I have ISBN, ISSN, I want to sell to you, please be careful. You can just go to the website of National Library, log in and get your ISBN at your convenience without using a third party to have a copyright on your work, to have an ISBN on your work, please. Then number 6, the edition. We call this information metadata of the work. We call it the cataloging page. This is my work. This is what I do in the library. Intellectual property right. This is what I do. Sorry, as a cataloger, I collect, I process the book, then I bring it out so that when you are looking for it online public access, it is there for you. So intellectual property rights. We have 4 major categories: copyright, patent, trademark, and industrial design. But on this, we are talking about copyright. According to the Copyright Amendment Act of 1999, a copyright holder is entitled to these rights: reproduction of the work in any material form, publication of the work. You can publish your work over and over again. Maybe if you publish 100 and the 100 you exhaust it, you can go back and publish. You can perform, as for dramatic work, you can perform your work in public spaces without any restriction because you are the original owner of the work. You can produce, you can reproduce, you can perform, you can translate your work in any language because you hold the rights. You can make film out of your work. The trial of Jero has been made for drama, stage show, over and over. You can distribute it for commercial purposes. You have written and you want to make money. It is your right to publish and sell your book. You can even sell your intellectual property. You can sell it. Once you are tired, you have made enough gain. You can take this book, sell it to somebody, and you collect your own money. People do it for films. People do it for writing. Then you can broadcast your work. It depends in any way because it is your right to own it. Next slide. Conclusion. Knowing why copyright is important is the first step to protecting yourself and your intellectual output. You deserve credit for your work, your time, your energy, and your resources, not someone else. So put a copyright on all your work. Copyright will secure your work and also bring visibility to you. It will get you rich and famous. It will also ensure that the people using your work have your permission. So, like from what I've been saying for the past 20 minutes, you need to protect your work. It is your work, it's your hard work. You've worked for it. You deserve visibility, you deserve money, you deserve credit. You deserve to be rich. You deserve to be famous. So walk into the Copyright Commission office, just pay a token of, I don't know how much they charge now, a token of 5,000 naira and get your copyright so that you'll be captured in their database. In case anybody copy your work, they will fight for you and you will get justice for your hard work. So the agency responsible for issues of copyright in Nigeria is Nigeria Copyright Commission. Have copied their website for you to see. You can do your e-registration. And when you finished your work and you are ready to deposit in National Library, I've copied the website of National Library. We collect legal deposits. We collect so that you will, when your children, they may not even, your great-grandchildren may not know you, but your work will speak for you because it will be preserved. And thank God for technology. In the past, we preserved. In the Egyptian times, they write on leather and they rolled it scroll and they hide them inside pots. But today we have cloud where we have cloud computing, we have cloud technology where we keep our data and they are preserved. So that in the next 100 years, when somebody is mentioning Choma Muma, yes, our work is there in the National Library. I think I've exhausted my time. Thank you, everybody, for the opportunity given to me to give this little knowledge I have. Thank you.
Can we all just give a round of applause for our speaker today? That's just been a really insightful talk. Thank you so much. I learned a lot personally, and I don't think I knew as much as what you've spoken about in terms of registering your work. I knew because of my legal background, I knew the positives, the advantages of copyright and things like that. But in terms of saying, why should I log it at the National Library and all the attendant things you mentioned, protecting your rights, I just really want to say a big thank you. The work you do is so important, and I think it's workshops like this that get out the information about why people should be doing this. I think half the publishers or even the authors in Nigeria, if you mention this to them, some of them, as you said, might just be flouting the rules and not even know that they're doing themselves a really amazing talk. All right, so is there anyone who has questions? So we'll be doing questions and answers for now. Is there anyone who has a question on any of the areas? Because if you want to get her on a normal day, it would not be possible. She's a very hard woman to come by. So please use this opportunity as best you can. We have about, I think, around about 10, 15 minutes for questions. So, okay, I see somebody's hand is up. Is that, that's one of our trustees, Basirat. Please go ahead. You can put your video on if you'd like to, or just.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Folasade. Sorry, I have my video off. Just please bear with me. My question is on the legal deposit. So if you have used a publisher, how can you verify that legal copies or legal deposits have been made with the National Library? I mean, yes, your publisher might tell you that they have done that on your behalf, but how can you verify that the National Library has copies of your book?
Okay, thank you, Bashira. This is a good question. When you have a publisher and is claiming that he or she has deposited, tell the person to show you the acknowledgement letter issued by the National Library to you, or you call the number. There's a number on our website to confirm. We have a database for people that have deposited, and we have, once you deposit, we issue acknowledgement letter immediately you are depositing. Before you move an inch from the library, you get your letter. If that person has deposited, ask for your acknowledgement letter. Once you have it, you are covered. Once you have it, you are covered.
Thank you, Asra, for that great question. That's actually a good one, because sometimes you're using second-hand agents, or people are doing this on your behalf. So thank you for that answer. Is there anybody else that has a question to ask? Anything else? There was quite a bit of information, so I'd be surprised if we all got it in one go. Anybody else?
Yes, I saw Shadi.
I have a question.
Oh, please speak. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to know if the process of filing for the copyright as an illustrator for a children's book and an author, if it's one and the same. So if the copyright for a children's book has been filed, does that also cover the illustrator's right, or does the illustrator have to submit separately?
This one, I may not be able to talk on this one, but I will connect the program officer to a friend of mine, Copyright Commission Office. So she will give the information and program officer will drop it.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Thank you. Apologies that I can't share my screen at the moment. Thank you so much for that presentation. Quite a lot was covered. I have a couple of questions. The first one being that,
because an illustrator, I don't know, I can't say.
Go ahead, Shadi, with your question.
oh, okay. Being that, is there an online database? Are we not able to log in to the National Library and see the works that have been deposited using an ISBN? Or is that still a manual process?
Okay, Nigeria wahala. So it's been tough to get things done, but fortunately, in the last 1 year, we've worked so much on creating access for authors to see their work. The work is still ongoing. We have 35,000 data on our database for online public access. And hopefully before the end of this year. And even you can check online safe. I think the line was up for some time, but it got crashed. So we're still working on it. But check from time to time. Check on our website. I remember we loaded 35,000 copies around April, and Nigerians had access to it. But along the line, it crashed. So we are still working. And very soon you have access to your work. If you have genuine ISBN, you will see your work online.
Okay. So can I go ahead with my second question,
Okay,
which is more specific? Thank you. Which is more specific to us as children's authors, and you have realized the importance that we're not taking advantage of use of why we haven't taken advantage of using the library service. So specifically to children's, for children's authors, what should we look forward to? I mean, for instance, I mean, I know that I shouldn't compare where I am with where Nigeria is, but obviously we need to be able to look into the future and see, you know, be able to look at what's going on in other parts of the world and possibly create certain during the Black History Month in the UK, my book is being chosen as a book of the month within a particular part of the UK, not the whole of the UK. So my question borders around, I know you're in the FCT, so is it centralized? So for instance, can the major library in Lagos have its own programs for children? Can the major library in Enugu have its own, you know, or does everything rely on the headquarters? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ma. Thank you for this question. Ma, first, National Library does not operate children's library. We don't have any section for children. But fortunately for us, the last national librarian tried to start a children section in the library. So we started with FCT, but due to COVID and co, we've not been able to have that done. The public library that should step in and carry out this responsibility for libraries in Nigeria are underfunded. There's problem in the library space in Nigeria. That is just the truth. I feel bad anytime I see what libraries are doing outside the shores of Nigeria and what we're doing in Nigeria. But we just have to push. Please, I wouldn't mind if people here can advocate for proper funding, because I am a believer of when you catch them young, that's my slogan, catch them young. When you want to clear all the errors, issues of Nigeria today, start from the cradle. When we have great children, when they have access to books that teaches moral, that teaches social problems, they will grow up to be responsible adults. But unfortunately, the library that should work, the library that should be the platform to teach this, to even assist in literacy, the government has failed the library space. So National Library is only trying to do its mandate by collecting this book and sharing it to the department of our own library, because we have the public, we assist the public libraries. So we have state branches where we send these books to. So the state branches director or whoever is in charge of those places organize a program where our work is not centered around children. The state-owned public libraries are meant to carry out these responsibilities, but unfortunately they are failing. But thankfully, the spirited individuals that appreciate literacy work are stepping in. Like this lady I read, she's doing a lot, and we have a lot of them in states all over Nigeria trying to do what is right in promoting literacy, but our government is not ready.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that last question particularly. And I think in rounding up the questions, if there's not any more questions, I want to ask for specifics. So when you say advocacy and when you say support, What exactly can we do as ACAIN and also as authors and illustrators? In what way can we advocate, and in what way do you need support? Because this is something I'm taking quite seriously, and I'm sure everybody else is. So what would you see as the support we can do now from the end of this workshop to make sure that the great work you're doing is supported? Maybe just give us an answer in about 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, we all have our states. We all have our different states where we come from. I see Mrs. Shadifa Dipe, I see Chinyere, I see Adepoju. Irene, you have your governor. There's a state library board in your state. Rights. Rights as ACAIN. Let them know you are promoting literacy. Tell them what your books can do to assist that child in the village that may not know that drug abuse is a problem. Let your state governor, your local government chairman know that, okay, if you want to make a responsible country, you need enlightened citizenry. Let them know the place of literacy in nation development. Rights in papers, editorial, challenge them. In 2017, I challenged the government, and all over the world, people listened to me, and they took action. Although the action may not be physical now, but I've been following up, I've been lobbying for the completion of the National Library of Nigeria. If people will take action about library from their different angles, the way you see it, if we come together as one, write to the National Library, tell that you want to be involved in a readership promotion campaign, you want to make your work visible, let National Librarians see that. Write to the Minister of Education what ACAIN is doing. Write to Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education, why you want literacy. Meet with them, have a meeting, stakeholders meeting, call us together. Let everybody say their problems, put it on the table. They listen. It may not take immediate, but they listen. And when you are persistent, they will take action. Persistency, because we need our children to read. We are losing it. Children of 15 years are killing. They are taking their friends to Babalawo to kill for money. All they believe now is to be on their phones and be looking for dirty sites. But if they can re-engineer those energy to reading, and they will get it right. Once they know that government is going to do something, because if we don't do anything about literacy work in Nigeria, I'm sorry, we're going nowhere. We're going nowhere. And children authorship, we cannot take it away, because when you want to get it right, you start from children. And it's unfortunate that most authors too don't deposit their work. Now, Mr. Ade is talking about exhibiting our work as the book of the month. Very laudable idea in the UK. But how fantastic is our space, our library, the public library? How beautiful are they to attract children to come inside and read? How beautiful are those spaces? Old, archaic, chairs. It's a lot of problem they were going to overcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shadi. I just wanted to say I could see the real passion with which you were speaking. And I think you raised a lot of issues that a lot of us haven't thought about before, even the infrastructure, the state of the National Library, and saying, would children want to come there? And I even hear, because I'm in the UK just like Shade is, and I know how vital the library is. I know how important published works are, and what high esteem, the authors around the UK are held in. So I think it's really sad to hear this is happening, but thank you for enlightening us. I would really ask if you could put your contact details. Is there any way we can reach you if we wanted to start some sort of advocacy, or we wanted to start some sort of drive to support this? I know a lot of our members here on the line as well might have ideas. So is it possible for us to reach you? Do you have a public email address you're happy to share? We'd like to get in contact with you. I personally will be getting in contact with you, because I think this is something we should all get behind. You shouldn't be the only person championing this. So I just want to say a really big thank you.
Thank you, everyone, once again, and have a fabulous rest of day. God bless. Bye-bye.